Hey everybody! So we're going to do the Queen of Hearts look. That was the most requested for my 31 Days of Halloween. So to start, we're going to use this Maybelline Master Prime 400. It is the Blur and Pore Minimize one. And yes, I am using my hands to apply it. All my brushes are dirty at this point. Well, most of them. So now I'm going in with the NYX Color Correcting Concealer Palette. I'm using some yellow to brighten up the dark circles, and then I'm going to use just a light kind of pinky shade just to kind of brighten everything up on my under eye. And again, I'm using my fingers. Don't worry, my hands are super clean. I scrubbed them good before we started doing this. But most of my brushes are dirty. So, that's how it goes at the end of October. Great. So now I'm going to use the Ulta Beauty Youthful Glow Concealer in the shade Fair/Cool. And I'm almost out of this, as you can tell. I bought it specifically for 31 Days of Halloween, and I definitely got some good use out of it. I really actually like this concealer, and I will probably buy it again just for everyday use. I'm just using this to really try to cover up as many blemishes as possible and just brighten up general spots where we would highlight our face. Yeah. So my face is, a little broken out just thanks to doing all these makeup looks. That's how it goes. So now I'm going to blend them out with my trusty beauty blender. I would 100% recommend getting the beauty blender wet before using it. It really helps keep it from absorbing all of the product that you have on your face, and so then it stays on your face, which is what we want. So we're just gonna kind of blend everything. That's the name of the game with this look. It makes all the difference. Great. And now I'm going to use Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation in the shade Natural Ivory. And I'm going to apply a lot of this on my skin, more than I would if I were wearing day-to-day makeup. I just really want it to be as smooth of a base as possible, I guess, before I start applying all of the color and everything. And when you're doing these makeup looks, I'd really say just try to trust the process. When you do step by step, the individual steps can look a little wild and crazy, and you're like, ooh, what am I making? This isn't going to be good. But then the end result, usually it all comes together. So trust the process. So right now I'm just ghostly pale. It's northern Michigan, and there's not a lot of sun, I guess. I don't know. So we're going to set this with the E.L.F HD Powder. And I'm just using this big fluffy powder brush that is actually the same brand. And I just like to set with powder in between stages, especially because my skin is a bit oily. So it just helps keep everything matte and, keeps things from melting off my face. And we're setting the powder with the Morphe Mattifying Continuous Setting Mist. It's okay. I don't love it, but I like the way it applies. Alright, and now brows. So I'm going to brush the hairs up with my spoolie brush. And I am using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade in dark brown. And first I'm going to just line the bottom part of my eyebrow, following just along the natural arch. And I start at the beginning of my brow all the way to the end. Now I'm lining the top of my brow, and I'm going to start not quite at the top, maybe like a third of the way in, lining the top part of the brow. And then I'm going to use short little strokes and blend out those lines that I just made, buff them out towards the center of the brow and just fill it in. And then I'm going to use short little strokes, kind of flicking the brush upwards at the very beginning of the brow, like closer to your nose. Just to create a natural kind of hair look. And boom, now both are done. Magic. And now I'm going to kind of define the individual hairs with this E.L.F Wow Brow in natural brown. And this just kind of picks up the hairs that maybe got set down with the pomade. All right, great. And so now I'm using this fluffy brush. This is actually a blending brush, but I really like it for applying the colors. And so we're going to use this Juvia's Place Saharan 2 palette. This first shade we're using is called Genre, and it's kind of a deep magenta color. We're going to apply it on the outer corner of the eye and into the crease. So when you would open your eye, that crease that is created there, that's where we're applying it. And then I'm going to use the brush and just buff it out all the way up to my eyebrow. So this is one of the times where you're going to think you look crazy because this is a dark, bright color. But trust me, it'll all come together. So with this brush, I'm using very light strokes and alternating between circular and just kind of flicking it back and forth to move the product on my skin. Now I'm using a shade from the Warrior 2 palette. This is also a Juvia's Place palette, and this shade is called Jamada. And I'm doing the same thing as before. I'm applying it heavily at the outer corner and then blending it up through the crease. Now with this, I'm not going to take this all the way up to my brow bone. I'm going to keep it a little more centralized to the crease. And just take your time with this, really just feel it out, get used to it. But yeah. I love Juvia's Place palettes. They are my absolute favorite eyeshadow brand. It is a brand created by people of color for people of color. And so I mean, the color payoff is amazing. And the price is also spot on for me. There is a lot of fallout, so you'll see me tapping the brush throughout this, and that's just kind of getting some of the excess off the brush before I apply it to the skin to try to keep the fallout on my under eye to a minimum. So I'm using the same 2 shades that I just used, and I'm lining the lower part of my eye, and I'm kind of smoking it out a little bit so it goes further than it would just with eyeliner. And that's why I'm also using this blending brush, just to keep it light and mobile. Now we're going back into the Warrior 2 palette, and I'm using this dark gray shade, which I think is called Walzana, and I'm using a short kind of like smudgy brush to pack the color along my lash line on the outer corner, and then I'm also bringing it up a little bit. And then I'm going to use this instead of regular eyeliner, and so I'm bringing that all along my lower lash line like I would with a dark eyeliner. And then I'm taking that blending brush and I am just blending the gray out. And with each progressively dark color, we're going to stay closer and closer to the corner of the eye, the outer corner, and that crease. We're going to bring it and just keep it really centralized and localized to that where we've packed the color in. So now I'm doing the same thing with black from the Warrior 2 palette. And we're just creating a really, really dramatic smoky eye with these shades. And so, yep, and now I'm blending it back out again. Blending, like I said, it makes all the difference. Blend out any harsh lines you see and just keep it a good gradient. But yeah, like I said, definitely love these Juvia's Place palettes. And now I'm going to go over everything I just applied with that red color from the Warrior 2 palette and use that to just kind of finish blending out the black and the gray so that it all stays in there, that color palette. And I'm using that fluffy brush to get any of the fallout off of my under eye. If you have a lot of fallout, you might need to wipe it off with a makeup wipe and start again. But fortunately, I did not. So now I'm going to cut my crease, and I am using IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer in Ultra Fair, or Light is another name on the product, and a little eyeshadow brush, and I'm just packing this in. I'm going to go about halfway from the inner corner of my eye to the center of my eyelid, and just patting it on, and taking the time, just making sure that it's relatively even on both eyes. Ta-da, like that. And now I'm going to use the white color in the Warrior 2 palette, and I'm just going to set the concealer with this eyeshadow, just patting it on with the concealer brush. I try to minimize how many brushes I use for these makeup looks, but I still end up using way too many. So there we go. And now we're going to line our upper lid, or upper lashes, excuse me. And I am using the Sephora Colorful Wink It Felt Liner in black. And now time for eyelashes. I am using Ardell is the brand, and it's from their Wispies line. I don't remember the like number, so like the specific number for these. It came in a large pack, and this is kind of my last pair from that pack, but I really love them, and I will be on the hunt to try to find more. Eyelash glue takes forever to dry, and then boom. Try to get the lashes as close to your natural lash line as possible. And then I just kind of blend them together using some mascara. I am using the Ulta Beauty Bold Ambition Volumizing and Conditioning Mascara. This mascara is fine. I don't wear it day to day, but it works for this. So now I'm going to take these little bits that I have. I cut up a pair of old eyelashes, and I'm going to apply these little individual pieces to the lower lash line just for some more drama there. So you can cut some yourself, or you could buy some of those individual lashes if you wanted. So, ta-da! And now I'm going in to my Masquerade palette from Juvia's Place, and I'm using this shimmery, light shimmery pink color, and I'm putting that right at the inner corner of my eye just to really brighten it up. If you were feeling super sparkly, you could take this all over your lid if you wanted, but I'm just doing the inner corner to make it pop. So now we're going to contour, and I'm using this kind of fluffy brush. I think it's actually a blush brush, but we're using it for contour. And we're taking that magenta pink color from the Saharan 2 palette, and we're going to contour along our cheekbones. Now, like I said, these palettes are very pigmented, so I'm not picking up very much product, and you can see how vibrant it is on my skin. And I'm applying it very lightly. I'm not pressing hard with the brush at all, just short little strokes, starting up at the, going up into the hairline. That's me panicking because I put on a little more product than I meant, but it's okay. And just really blending this out. And I'm going to take this up a little higher because this isn't traditional contouring. So I'm blending it up onto my cheekbones. And now I'm going to do along the hairline on my forehead. We're kind of going to contour the traditional places you would use regular contour, but we're just using this pink shade. I had too much product on my brush, so I'm wiping some of it off onto a paper towel. And then I'm going to just buff out the color I already applied just to try to keep it from being splotchy, which can happen. So just try to remove as much of the color from your brush as possible and buff it out. And the real commitment is shown when you get it in your hairline. Yes, you will have to shower to thoroughly remove all the pigment, but it is worth it. And now we're going to do our jawline. And I'm going to actually bring this down pretty far on my neck. Of course, this is determined by whatever clothing you wanted to wear with this makeup look. Since I have this tank top on, I'm going to bring it down pretty far. But I actually think this look would be pretty cool if you wore like a high collared neckline of some sort. So lining the jaw, I like to accentuate my chin a little bit too because I feel like I don't have a very predominant chin line. So then we're just buffing it down, and you can see this crazy amount of color that's just going. It's amazing. I love this. I love Juvia's Place products so much. They're my favorite. Yeah. So blending it down, and now I'm going to go back in with the red color from the Warrior 2 palette, and we're kind of doing the same concept that we did with the eyes. So I'm really gonna just keep this a little less blended out, and it's gonna be more centralized, just to create some deeper shadows. Yeah. So we did that, we did our cheeks, we've done our forehead at this point, and now we're doing the neckline. And I'll bring this down a little bit too, but I'm not going to bring it down as far as I brought the magenta color. And now we're going back into the Saharan 2 palette. I forgot to do this, that's why it's happening now, but I am going to put this on the end of my nose. I think it's so cute. This makes me so happy. I don't know why. It just makes it a little rosy. Bring it up the sides of the bridge of your nose a little, not too much, and then go back into that red from the Warrior 2 palette color and just keep that right on the tip of the nose. It's just so cute. I love it so much. All right, and so now I'm going to contour under my lip. The lower lip, squeeze the little brush and just very gently pat it in under there. We're creating a shadow under our lip, but again, magenta, because that's what we're contouring with. Great, and now I'm going to use that, and I'm not applying any more pigment to the brush. I'm using what's already there, and I'm just contouring my Cupid's bow. So, ta-da, great. Little buff out. Awesome. Appreciate your work, appreciate the steps, and don't be afraid of the color. And so now I've cleaned most of the pigment off my brush at this point, and I'm just really trying to soften any harsh lines and just kind of keep it like a flow. All right, great. So now I'm going to use this Maybelline SuperStay ink crayon in the shade Settle for More, and I'm going to start drawing little hearts on my face. You could use kind of eyeliner or whatever you want for this. I like this because it's nice and soft, so it applies easily without pulling or tugging on the skin. Alright, and I'm just going to apply 4 hearts here, and then I'm going to use the same crayon, and I'm also going to do some little polka dots on my skin as well. And, oops, I set my phone on the cat tree, and then the cat jumped up there, so sorry for that. And so yeah, now we're going to go in and we're going to do dots, and I'm doing this little twisting motion with the crayon so that we get a good circle out of it. Sorry for the squeaking. There are puppies where I'm at. So cute. Alright, so now I am using the NYX Liquid Suede Cream Lipstick in the shade Cherry Skies and an angled liner brush. And I'm just making some smaller little freckles interspersed between the larger polka dots. So great. And now I am going to go in with the Warrior 2 palette, the red shade, and a tiny, tiny concealer brush. And I'm just going to set some of the larger dots and the hearts just to try to keep everything matte. Again, my face gets kind of oily, so I just like to set everything with powder to try to keep it to a minimum. Alright, so we're moving on to the next thing, which is applying the cards to our face. I pre-cut mine, but that takes a little bit of time just to shape it to your forehead. So we're going to use this liquid latex. It's just some cheap basic stuff. I bought it at Walmart. It's fine. It smells really bad. It makes my eyes water. So we're going to use the liquid latex. The cat tree's moving again. Sorry, guys. Alright. And this paper towel, you only need 1 ply, so rip the ply apart and then start ripping it into just tiny pieces. And then I'm applying the liquid latex with this old paintbrush directly onto the paper towel and sticking it where I want the card on my forehead. And then we can stick the card into it while it's still wet, and it should hold it. Liquid latex takes a little bit to dry, but it's pretty strong, so even when it's kind of wet, you can get things to stick to your face still. And so now I'm just going to take more of these little pieces that I've ripped, and I'm going to press them along the side of the card and my skin, just to try to give it some support so it doesn't just fall off my face. And I'm using this old paintbrush because this paintbrush will be ruined. Like, it's just going to get filled with the liquid latex and you can't get it out, so use something you don't care about for that. And now I'm going to apply some of the paper towel behind the card just for some extra support to keep it from falling off my face. When you do this, be really careful that you don't get it in your hair, because you will have to rip your hair out to get it off. Otherwise, you just walk around with liquid latex in your hair. I'm very focused, as you can see. So I'm doing this all along the card just to make sure every single part of it is stuck onto my skin so we don't accidentally lose it somewhere, because that'd be so sad. And now I'm applying some of the liquid latex just to lay down any of the pieces that were kind of flipped up, just to make sure everything's stuck to my skin. And I'm sticking the second card into the liquid latex at an angle, and just repeating the process over again, applying liquid latex onto the paper towel, sticking it onto my skin. It's all the same. And then laying any of the edges down with a little bit of extra liquid latex. Alright, so we're going to let that dry, and while that's drying, we're going to do our lips. We're going to use the Inkstay Crayon from Maybelline, and we're going to use the liquid Suede lipstick from NYX, but first we're going to put some concealer on our lips just to make them nice and pale, and a good base to apply the lipstick. It'll look much more vibrant that way. So I'm just using some of that residual Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer from IT Cosmetics. And now I'm going to line my lips with the Maybelline SuperStay Crayon. And I'm drawing the lips much smaller than my actual lips are, as you can see, right in the center there. Do the top lip and then the bottom, and we're just lining them with the crayon. Awesome, now you have your lips drawn on, and then we're going to fill them in with the Cherry Skies shade of liquid Suede cream lipstick from NYX Cosmetics. And I really like this brand of liquid lipstick. They have so many fun shades. So now you have your lips drawn on. Now we're going to take the small blending brush we used on our eyes. I'm just removing some of the excess color. And we're going to go back into the Saharan 2 palette and take that magenta color. And we're going to just pat it into the corner of our mouth. That creates a little shadow on the outer edge of your mouth. And I think it looks really cute. And yeah, so the liquid latex should be relatively dry at this point. So to create some depth to the wound, I'm actually going to use this Vice liquid lipstick from Urban Decay. I hate it for regular lipstick wear, but it works great when I'm doing fake wounds. So I'm patting this into any of the kind of crevices that are there with the paper towel, so any low spots, so we're making shadows. Then I'm going to use the Cherry Skies NYX lipstick and kind of fill in the rest of it. And I'm doing this because the fake blood that I purchased is almost like a weird pinky red color. It doesn't look very realistic, so I just want the wound to look as realistic as possible. This fake blood is relatively cheap. I just got it at the Halloween Superstore. And I'm using the angled liner brush, and I'm just kind of slowly dripping it onto the paper towel. Now, because it is paper towel, it's going to absorb some of it, so you might need to use more product than you think, but I would recommend applying it slowly because it can sneak up on you, and then it'll start dripping everywhere, and it's messy, and it stains. Also, when doing this, just be aware of if the product is safe around your eyes. Mine is not, so I'm trying to keep it from dripping down into my eyes. So I'm really taking my time applying it. But I did want some drips so it looks like, it's bleeding because we're making a wound. And then you can set it again with setting spray. And then I accessorized, and ta-da! I used some fake roses and these really bomb earrings I got from H&M. And yeah, that's it. That's how we do this makeup look. I hope you guys really liked this. I hope it was helpful. And I want to see you guys recreate the look yourselves. And yeah, thanks everybody. Happy Halloween!